All right, cool. So we've got Tuesday morning at 11:30 in the Asia session. Just having a look over a couple of these charts that we're seeing. Just a bit of a follow-up on the chart that we did the other day, but we're seeing China or USD against the yuan. I just call it China for short. We're seeing China sort of breaking to some new lows here. So it did come back as we expected. After this is when the PBOC sort of intervened the other day. We got that sharp sort of drop off. As you say, we went through this first short-term trend that we were doing, back down pretty much sort of right on the money here, where we had the expected buys coming through from this zone, but of course was the previous highs, sort of going back to sort of like late June, early July. So the bounce did come in, obviously sort of like going way back up here. I guess what you could be looking for here is a retest of this break zone. So that's obviously a good place generally, sort of when you're getting these rising trends, as same with the sort of falling trends, and that the break point will get retested and generally just a little bit higher as well. I think this is mainly just sort of stop out the people that get in early, move their stops to even, and then they sort of shake them out, stop them out, and then we start to see that actual move come down now. So this is on the 1 hour, and we're seeing it, yeah, pick up a little bit of speed now. So what we're sort of looking here is basically we're looking sort of a retest of this main trend. So we can see if we put this onto the 4 hour, if we've still got it marked on there, we've got this sort of main trend that's been sort of coming through since sort of July here. So where we at? That's 27th of July. So almost a month or so. It's been sort of pushing up. It came off a bit of a double bottom kind of section set up here. And so we're seeing this tested. So we're probably looking to get another test at some stage around this zone over here. What we can sort of do is sort of look for some horizontals, see how that sort of lines up again. And if we drag this sort of support across here, we see that we did have some sort of previous resistance and around a bit of support around this zone. So it wouldn't be surprised if we see sort of China dropping down a little bit lower here. If we flip across onto copper, so copper we saw the breakout happen at the end of last week. So particularly you can see it well on the daily that we sort of had this sort of bounce off this big support, rising support that we had sort of going back from what was this? This is July 22, so this is a year-long rising support, and the reaction just is the same as we said it may have been. Sort of comes down here, touches it, and bang, we're exploding up north. So we're starting to see a little bit of a push up with that at the same time. But if we zoom down into the 4 hour, this is what we were really sort of picking it off the other day, is this falling wedge where we had a bit of a breakout, created a bit of a short-term resistance. We've come back here, retested top side of this falling resistance. Bang, we're taking out the high. Monday session, so a little bit of back and forth, but the key sort of takeaway with this one is that even though these at every time would have been sort of big yellow sort of bearish candles, they've all come up and managed to close up above this previous marked out resistance point. So this was the level for us to hold above and maintain. And as you can see, it's held that, and now we're taking off. We're hitting into our first price target. So we're expecting to see, as you can see, prices just at least minimal sort of kind of selling back a little bit here. People sort of starting to go, yep, okay, that's a nice little break point for us. But I wouldn't be surprised, particularly to sort of see a bit of a continuation of this move, particularly with the wedge pattern. So we can sort of drag to get a bit of an idea about the price target. Look, we'll probably be looking depth of that there from the break point. We'll call it from the back test. As you can see, this is sort of coming up in line with where we've seen the market sort of reject from a little bit previously. It's not going to get here straight away, but that's where we're going to put our price target. I think realistically, these lower ones here may sort of see a little bit of a reaction, a little bit of a sort of pushback as well. But I wouldn't be surprised if we, with a couple of back and forth moves along the way, obviously people jumping off at these levels, so to see a bit of a continuation to sort of come through, at least up to this price target, as mentioned on the weekend video, and that this large falling resistance here, realistically, this purple line, that's where I'm expecting price to move. You're going to see then a bit of a confluence of the underside test of this falling resistance here. And obviously, if we can get up over here, just another note that just to mention this as well. Again, you can see this is the break of the falling resistance, came back up here, retest the break point, retest the break point, and just so happens that our measured move from this falling wedge is also lining up with this price target zone. So this is realistically kind of where I'm sort of looking in the short term for sort of copper to go.